will suffer. I would investigate, pay people for the damage, and discipline my soldiers where appropriate. But if cruelty happens as a result of eliminating those who are against us, we just carry out the necessary things to win.
I had one Vietnamese lieutenant that I worked with, and he was probably the best Vietnamese junior officer that I ever knew. He was a really good kid, and I never advised him to do anything that he hadn't already done it. And they warned him a couple of times, and when he didn't slow down, they just went into his home village, which was 300 miles from where we were operating, and killed his mother.
The Viet Cong infrastructure was defined as all non-military members of the communist movement. Local Vietnamese sources were used to identify VC agents within the towns and villages of South Vietnam. American-controlled PRU units were then ordered to capture or kill them.
If they brought back a body, they got paid for it. If they brought back a gun, they got paid for it. If they brought back a prisoner, they got paid for it. If they didn't bring back the whole prisoner, they used to get paid for bringing back identifiable parts. Okay? I didn't set these rules up. These are the rules that they played by. When you try to change those rules, you meet resistance. I didn't want people bringing me back ears and me having to pay them for it. I didn't want that. I want live people. Dead people don't talk.
There is no doubt that Phoenix was effective in reducing VC influence. But as with every special operation in South Vietnam, there was always a fear of VC penetration of South Vietnamese intelligence agencies. In some instances, corrupt officials used Phoenix to eliminate business and personal rivals.
The PRU got out of hand real quick. They were not checking. They were going out killing a lot of people. In many cases, they were killing the wrong people. The Viet Cong infiltrate this and tell them to go out and kill the people who are actually friendly to the government. So there's nobody really checking on it.
In the end, the Phoenix program was stunningly effective in eliminating the established Viet Cong support system. But it came too late in the war to influence the outcome. There was another secret special operations unit, however, that was successfully developing its own intelligence and using it to great advantage. U.S. Navy SEALs were redefining the role of the unconventional soldier. There was a secret American unit in Vietnam that was fighting in the Viet Cong's backyard along the canals of the Mekong River. Operating at night, often dressed like the VC, squads of 2 to 7 men turned the tables on their enemy. Wading through canals or inserted by boat to get to their target, this unconventional unit used kidnapping and bribery to accomplish what killing could not. The Viet Cong called them men with green faces.
SEALs were looking for a place to work, and the Army had the Rung Sat Special Zone. Nobody could operate in it. The VC ruled it, and they said, well, you guys can work in the water, put you in there. And so they had 3 platoons over there operating against the VC, and pretty well cleared the place out.
Throughout the Mekong Delta region, Navy SEAL platoons were creating serious disruptions in the Viet Cong political infrastructure, which heretofore had operated freely on the rivers and canals.
There was some pride in doing the operation elegantly, and one of the most elegant ways was to creep right into their encampment or their hooch and lift up that mosquito net, and the first thing he knows is the guy with the green face and the silenced pistol is there saying, come along with me.
Day or night, especially when they knew our trails, it would be dreadful. After a while, we learned from these experiences, and we would spread out our patrol formation. We would try to anticipate where they were waiting in ambush, or where they landed, and then fight them there.
Operations had to be done quietly and skillfully to avoid detection.
The standard operating procedure back then was for the point man and the patrol leader to enter the hooch. There weren't any doors. From then, things got sticky if the guy had bodyguards, and especially if they were awake. If they were asleep or if he didn't have any bodyguards, things normally went pretty smoothly. And then it was a matter of abducting the guy, search, silence, and securing him and getting out there as quickly as possible.
The U.S. Navy SEALs in Vietnam fought for their country and their teammates. Their intentions were not just to observe the enemy, they planned to capture or kill him.
You'll be exposed to pain and punishment for one reason and one reason only: to make you the type of person we need to get the job done.
We, the Navy SEALs, went there to win the hearts and minds of anybody. We were there to kick the ass out of the enemy. We were there to destroy him. We were there to shoot the bastard. We were there to destroy his camps. We weren't there to worry about what the next door neighbor thought about us. We were there to do a job.
Tax collectors and high-ranking VC and NVA officials were the preferred target. SEALs and their special boat units were giving new meaning to the term up close and personal.
Their commandos would come out at night. Sometimes they were dropped in by helicopters, deep into our areas, and they would remain there for a long time. There were a lot of these blue and green-faced soldiers around. Sometimes, 3 to 6 commandos would ambush us on our travel road with mines. Usually, they used claymore mines.
The rules for special operations were the same, both on the borders of Vietnam and in the dark waters of the Mekong. Special ops forces were called on to do whatever was necessary to accomplish their missions.
To my knowledge, we never, ever killed an innocent person. If we were fighting on a village, everybody's the enemy. Hard to understand, but when somebody's shooting out of a door, they don't put a sign on them saying, I'm the bad guy, okay? And I'm sitting there with 5 people, and I got 40, 50 guns shooting down my neck. We would shoot and shoot and shoot till we got our way out of it.
Suspicion was the rule. Every bar girl was a VC. Every barber was an NVA colonel. The enemy might be a child with a grenade or a teenage girl with an AK-47. The most difficult challenge was knowing when and where to draw the line.
We learned we had to get like that in order to operate among the Vietnamese people over there. Because you never really knew who you were going to encounter. You might walk up on an old farmer, or you might walk up on some guy carrying an AK-47 with his selector switch and full automatic. So we had to take every edge.
SEALs turned VC guerrillas against their old comrades with a simple promise of protection.
A lot of these guys were coerced into being in the Viet Cong ranks. Didn't take much persuasion at all to say, look, we'll get you out of this. We'll essentially put you in the witness protection program, get you down the south end of the island or over on the mainland or something, and get your family out of here. And they say, thanks, great. And all you got to do is just take us back in and lead us to the clown that recruited you. No problem.
Special operators frequently found the situation on the ground did not relate to concepts planned for them in Saigon and Washington. Unconventional warfare wasn't always about an overwhelming force. Guerrilla war demanded an ability to adapt to this situation.
John Paul Vann once said, the best way to kill a guerrilla is with a knife, and the worst way is with an airplane. And when you're doing things surgically like that, 7 men, it's up close, and you know you're not killing civilians, you know you're killing a guy with a rifle, and an important guy with a rifle.
Ruthless, determined, and secret, this unconventional war became one of American guerrilla versus Vietnamese guerrilla. The irony is that American unconventional soldiers adopted many of the tactics of their VC and NVA enemy. No other combat force in Vietnam achieved a greater success than did the various units of special operations. Decades later, some realities are emerging. Ho Chi Minh's objective of subjugating Southeast Asia failed. Communism has faltered around the world, giving way to market-driven economies, which have emerged throughout Indochina and increasingly in Vietnam. Only time will tell whether the country of Vietnam fully embraces the same democratic principles the American Special Operations Forces fought for decades ago.